Hi, everyone. Okay, so my name is Kirsten. I am from a blog called Obtaining Bliss. I run this blog and I started it because I personally was a victim of domestic violence and I wanted to share my story in the hopes that I would help someone else. Not only was I a victim of domestic violence, I've been a long time sufferer of depression and anxiety because of the traumas that I've experienced throughout my whole entire life. Um, my first trauma was sexual trauma by a relative, and then sexual trauma by a stranger that was babysitting me, and then sexual trauma by a friend of a friend's that I was staying at. And then I had my grandmother die, which was a traumatic experience. Then I was in a really loving, awesome relationship that was like, I was a teenager and I was absolutely in love. And we were dating for a while, and then we got into a car accident and he died. So I had that traumatic experience. And then right after that, like 6 months, met my first husband who ended up narcissistically abusing me. So I thought I'd make this first video about how to overcome being a victim of narcissistic abuse, because learning how to overcome that, something like that, it's not easy. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of careful planning. It takes daily work. It takes meeting with other people who have been through what you've been through, meeting with professionals who know how to handle your situation, how to give you the best advice on how to help yourself heal. When being a victim of narcissistic abuse, sometimes we can get stuck being a victim, and we can get so stuck there that that's where we live for years. And we live in that trauma over and over and over again. And instead of moving from victim to survivor, we get stuck and we stay there. So what I would love to help you do is go from victim to survivor and then to thriver, so that you are living the happiest life you could ever live. It's possible, trust me, because I did it. I've been through all of that stuff, and I am so happy to say that I've come out of it with only 532 scars. And no, just kidding. I do have scars, but I don't have like a lot of visible scars. I'm a somewhat normal human being, despite everything I've been through. And I love helping other people. And I want you to know that you can do this. You can make it through. You will be a normal person again. You can achieve goals. You can be successful, and you can actually thrive in life. So here's how you go from being a victim to survivor. So that's the first phase. The first step is that you need to own your own story. Tell your story. Tell it to people who will listen. You might get a lot of backlash when you first tell your story, especially if you're still close with your narc exes, friends, even some close family, but you need to tell your story. Because you need to own your truth. You need to realize that you weren't crazy in this situation, that this is true. This did happen to you. Okay? So that's step one. Just find someone that you can feel safe in sharing your story with. That can be with a counselor, with a life coach, with a really close friend who knows and understands exactly what you've been through and who will be there for you and not degrade your situation or ask, question if it's true or anything like that. So find someone that doesn't question what happened to you, who won't judge you, someone you can confide in, who understands what you went through, and someone who can add maybe a little bit of humor to the situation. That doesn't hurt either. But this friend, like I said, they can be a coach, they can be a best friend from high school. Just do it with someone you feel safe with. Okay, so step two is you've got to move out of that story. So it's really great to share your story because it's your truth and it happened to you, and you have every right to feel all the emotions that you're feeling from it. But the key in this step is don't get stuck there. So don't get stuck in that story and tell it over and over and over again and get in your head that this is where you are, this is where you're going to live the rest of your life, is stuck in victim mode, because that's where a lot of us can get stuck. So we get so engulfed in some serious shit just happened to me and I'm so traumatized from it that we let it like literally debilitate our lives. We let it take control and we let fear set in, and it makes us so we can't do normal things. So when this gets really bad, you can start to get depression, anxiety, PTSD symptoms, and other symptoms of trauma that start to seep into our being. So it can be really tough to get out, but believe and know that it can be done. And you're not what happened to you, okay? So you need to move past that story and not live there. Step 3 is find a therapist or a life coach. Find someone that you feel safe with, that you feel seen and you feel heard with. Someone who can walk you through step by step through each phase that you're going to go through in the right order and at a comfortable pace for you, because everyone's different. Not everyone goes through this the same way at the same pace with the same feelings in the same order. That's not how life works. Everybody's complicated. Everybody's different. You know, we all have our own emotions. We all have our own feelings, and they all need to be validated. So find someone who can truly help you. It's important to find someone who understands the journey that you're going through and who's walked it themselves and can show you exactly the way and the path to get there. So we can't find healing in isolation. We need to find that community that understands what we've been through, that can walk us through those steps, that understands, that empathizes with exactly what happened to us. So if you're interested, I will leave a link below. I personally coach people one-on-one who've been through these situations because I've been there and I've walked that path, and I can help you walk that same path too. So if you're interested, there'll be a link. Otherwise, don't worry about it. So phase 2, this is where we go from survivor to thriver. Now, this is really, really exciting. I love this phase because this is where you get out of just being a survivor. You're like, yeah, it happened to me, and I'm really overcome it, but I still feel like there's still some blockages there, and I can't quite move forward, or like I've moved forward a little bit in my life, but I still feel like there's something stuck there, like just you feel like blocked, or you might feel numb, or you might feel like a zombie just running through the motions of life. So this is where you get out from survivor and get into thriver. So step 1 for this phase is you declutter, you feel, and then you celebrate. So in the declutter, we need to declutter both physically and mentally. So we tend to hold on to objects and things that really don't serve us. And these things cause more clutter, and in turn, they actually cause more stress. So to declutter physically, I want you to go room by room and get rid of all that clutter that is taking up your life. My girl Tracy, she sells an amazing decluttering book. I will also leave a link below to my blog post, which covers all of this step by step, and you can read about it there. And it also has the links to the decluttering book that my friend Tracy does. And then I also talk about the next phase, which is decluttering emotionally. So you want to do this same decluttering emotionally. You have to go, the things that you go through, I mean, they're mentally blocking you from everything you want to have in your life. So what I have you do is I have you go through and make a list of everyone and everything that you need to forgive. And this is how you emotionally declutter. If you sign up through my blog post there's a forgiveness boot camp in there, and I walk you step by step how to forgive people. Okay. And I want to remind you that forgiving people, it's not about them. Okay. I'm not going to make you reach out to people and say, you won't have to talk to them. You won't have to reach out to these people and say, I forgive you, which they might not care, especially if it's your narcissistic ex-husband or ex-boyfriend or whoever. They might not care, for one, or they might be like, well, you should forgive me, kind of thing. No, I'm not going to put you through that, so don't worry about having to reach out to someone personally. This forgiveness step is just to declutter yourself. This is for you, okay? And only you, not for anyone else, okay? So sign up for that. The next part in this is to feel. I know. Those super duper pesky emotions that we have. Yeah, I know it can be overwhelming. I get it. We have really intense feelings when we go through things like this. Feelings of pain and all that comes from the trauma that you've been through. But it's so important that you do this. It's so important. When we're able to actually feel our emotions, that's when we're actually able to start the healing process. And that's the only way to not keep feeling pain, is to actually feel the pain. I know that sounds kind of messed up, but think about it. If you keep avoiding this pain, you will find that this same kind of pain will come up for you throughout your life over and over and over again until you actually feel that pain and understand what it's trying to tell you. Like, exactly, it's your body is an alarm system. Your body is telling you exactly what's going on. It's telling you, hey, you need to feel this, you need to learn from it, and then you can move on. So the next part is that you need to celebrate. And I can't tell you how important it is to get used to celebrating just little wins. Even small ones. Like, I used to think that like small things like weren't worth celebrating. And that was actually until I started my own healing journey. And then I realized that how celebrating even the littlest things in my own, like, it made a huge difference in my own self-confidence and in building self-love. And that's where you really need to do the work after going through a narcissistic relationship, is somebody just took a long time bashing you down. Like, you probably have zero self-confidence after getting out of your narcissistic relationship. I know I did. I had zero self-love, zero self-confidence. And I mean, that's why we behave the way we do sometimes. I mean, and I behave so badly in almost every triggering instant. But when I started to celebrate little things, like any little breakthrough, and it wasn't just about awareness, it was proof that I can do this. Like, every day I did a meditation, I celebrated. Every day I got a workout in, I celebrated. Sometimes every day I got a shower in, I celebrated. Every day I got some laundry done, I celebrated. You know, I solidified within myself that I could overcome this shit. I could do this on my own. What my narcissist said about me, saying that I would never make it without him, I would never amount to anything, fuck you. Okay? That's what this is about. This is a big fuck you to your narc by you rebuilding your life. Okay? And you can do it. Trust me. So the second step in this process to getting to thriving is to heal and find your purpose. So healing emotional trauma, there's several aspects of that. There's several modalities that you can use. And healing emotional trauma, it can be very difficult, but not if you have someone who can lead you through that journey. Trauma is probably the most avoided, ignored, belittled, denied, misunderstood, and untreated cause of human suffering. I mean, I was told that I'd have to be on antidepressants for the rest of my life after being diagnosed with chronic depression. Chronic clinical depression, how they quoted it. And even though I knew, like, deep down this wasn't true, having a professional tell you something like that can be absolutely devastating. Devastating. But it wasn't until like the last several years, when I was on my last round of depression medication, when my instinct was screaming louder than anything. It was saying, you don't need to be on medication for the rest of your life. You don't. That's what my gut kept telling me. My body kept telling me that. And after a ton of research and therapy and life coaching, I found exactly how to heal myself so I'd never have to be on antidepressants again. So the biggest thing about medication is it can mask the symptoms that your body's trying to tell you. Like I said earlier, it's very important for you to listen to your body. We shouldn't be numbing our body to what it's trying to tell us or ignoring it, because it'll just keep coming back in different forms. So I'm not saying that you should stop taking medication if you're taking medication. That's something you work with your doctor on, because medication does save lives. It saved my life. When it gets really bad, people do need it, and that's okay. But I weaned off medication with the help of my doctor, and I had the systems in place to back myself up and to make sure that I wouldn't lapse back into those again. So the next step in this is to find your purpose throughout all this. Find purpose in what happened to you. And we can find purpose in our traumas. We're all exactly where we're supposed to be at the exact right time. You're here for a reason. Finding purpose from all that bad shit that you've been through is another way that we can heal and let it go. So step 3 is enjoy this life that you're meant to live. And you do this by letting go of all the limiting beliefs that you have, all the survival patterns that you've built up throughout your whole life. You were seriously brought into this world to live it, to live a beautiful life. You're meant to live a life you love. And you deserve to have a crap ton of money if you want to have a big house, if you want to take your kids on vacation, if you want to help others do the same thing. So you deserve to feel beautiful in your own skin. And you deserve to find a safe and loving partnership full of respectful communications, laughter, and fun. And whatever you want out of life, you can absolutely have it. So when we heal from our emotional trauma, we open up to so many possibilities and opportunities and actually allow abundance to flow back into our lives. And living a life on your own terms and on your own bliss is exactly when you fulfill your purpose, because that's the life you're meant to live here. So if you enjoyed this, hit a like. I will leave links in the comments below so you can follow the blog post. I also have a 5-day Bliss challenge that you can sign up for. And I will also leave links so you can sign up for that forgiveness boot camp, because we all definitely need that. So I will talk to you until next time. Bye.